there's one particular skill that I try to push really, really hard because it's really, really important. That skill is the ability to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So you're looking at my nighttime electronic cigarette. That's what I use. I use a Boulder pod for nighttime because they don't leak. I use RDTAs during the day. You can't lay those over because they'll leak. So anyway, I just got some Boulder rock pod systems, and I've had these for years. And I bought an expensive $70 pod mod, if you will, an Orion DNA chip. I mean, it's a Lost Vape. I forget what they call it, but it cost me like $70. The thing was a piece of crap from day one. Yet these cheap little pod systems are great. I mean, I can rebuild the pods, and they're really awesome little deals. However, like anything else, they are limited with time, and in many cases with devices like this, it's going to be your battery that's going to be your fail point. So, ergo, this one. This is my better unit, actually, by the way. However, I have noticed over the past month or month and a half that it was obviously starting to swell, and that battery is seen its better days. So the issue with something like this, if you notice an lithium-ion battery expanding, it's time to get rid of that battery. They will, over time, if you keep using them, they will eventually catch fire, and that is not a good thing. So my thought behind this, and I knew at some point, regardless, that the batteries were going to go bad. They're cheap. I think you can get the batteries for like $10 or something. But when you're broken, I'm so broke I can't even pay attention. I thought, well, I'll either make it a direct power mod, meaning I would hack it, get rid of the battery, and just provide direct power to it without a battery per se in the middle, or I would just set it up to where I could use a different battery. I'm still not 100% positive of exactly what I'm going to do, and I didn't film the process to where I've got now because what I'm doing is pretty dangerous. I used well, it's not a Dremel brand, it's a Goxawee, but I used a rotary tool with just a little cutting wheel and very, 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 very delicately cut around. I didn't start back here, in all fairness, threw the other pieces away, but I started back here where the USB, here, I got a full one here, so you see them side by side. So what I first did was on the side here, about where my fingernail is that needs to be cut, about there down, I cut. Okay, that way I could spread open this a little bit to see how this USB connector was held in there. Well, snaps in right about there and there, for anybody that is wondering. So, it snaps in about here and about here into a little white housing that's on the inside of here. So, because you can't find a video anywhere of anybody taking one of these apart. And so, once I got to where I could see where the USB portion was and all of that, then I was actually able to see the battery right behind the USB, which I knew it was there because the expansion of the unit made it obvious. So what I did from there is I went ahead and I cut further down the line, and what I was initially trying to do was just loosen this battery up so I could get it out. So I was trying to relieve some of the stress that would be, pinching the battery and binding the battery in place. Well then, it wasn't budging, so I went ahead and I took the Dremel wannabe, the rotary tool, and I very delicately cut around so that I could open that up so I could get a better look at the battery, how it was held in place, and the whole 9 yards. Now I'm getting ready to do the next step, which is to go ahead and to remove the battery. Everything still works. If right now I can apply 5 volts +5 to the blue, the common to the black, and you will see the charge light blink, and it will start to charge the battery. It works. I can vape with it now. It works fine. There's nothing wrong with the function of it, other than that battery is swelling, and I need to get it out of there and either run direct power or replace it with a different battery, even if that means running wires out of it to an 18650, which is kind of what my plan was if I was going to use a battery anyway. So improvise, adapt, and overcome. Again, today, to a person who's got the money, they can just go out and buy another one. Not a big deal. But after the big SHTF, it's not going to be an option. So what are you going to do? Well, you're either going to go without, or you're going to learn to improvise, adapt, and overcome. The choice is yours, folks. Being a bullshitter on YouTube is not prepping skills. Plain and simple. Alrighty, let me show you where I'm at. First of all, we've confirmed that it is, and I knew it was ahead of time, 3.7 volt battery. This is a value of 1.33 watt hours. Boy, is that huge. So anyway, you can see the polarity there. It shows you the polarity, the other information on the battery. As you can tell, it is severely swollen. And so I managed to get up in there, and I don't know how well the camera's going to pick up this. I would imagine fairly well. Let me get the light down in there good. You can see, going off of the battery, you are going to have two, they're just aluminum strips. And I don't know if you can see it up in there or not. I don't know if it's focusing good enough for you to see. But there are wires that are attached to the, I say aluminum strips. They're likely nickel, not aluminum. Don't listen to me. So there'll be nickel strips that are going to be your contacts that come off the battery, and then they're going to have a couple of wires that are attached to those nickel strips. So it still works, even as it is right now. Let me get the light off of it so I can push the button, and you can hopefully see the light come up, or take a couple of vapes off of it for you. So my next step is I'm going to reach up in there with my snips, and I'm going to disconnect this battery, and then I've got room in there, as you can see, and a little bit of room in there. So what I'm probably going to do after I get that battery out, is I'm probably going to go ahead and make another cut, probably around in here, to give myself room. What do I need room for? Well, I'm going to wire in a connector, just a standard 5-volt barrel connector, because with that 5-volt barrel connector, I can make it so that I can either direct power this or have a little battery pack with another 5-volt, the male 5-volt barrel connector, or I guess the female would be smarter. And that way, I can either power it directly with, say, something like a phone charger, or I could set up a battery with a 5-volt barrel connector on it and be able to use that battery to vape with this. And as long as the circuit stays in good order, then I'll be able to use this Boulder Rock mod, well, pun intended, to the end of time. So if I've got more updates, I'll show you more updates. Probably have more updates. Alright, a little bit of an update as to where I'm at on this. I took some drill bits, and I drilled a hole, and I did cut it off further, and I drilled a hole so I could run my wire through. That way I could knot it, so that way if the wire is pulled on, it pulls on the knot and not the connection. So that's where I'm at. I'm getting ready to go ahead and solder my positive and negative connections there. I've already tested it. Everything works as planned. Boy, this sure shortens up this device quite a bit, which is actually a good thing. actually a good thing. So the more discreet, the better. And although I'm going to miss having a longer device to hold on to, it's okay. You can still push the button. I mean, you can still hold on to it and push the button. That's not going to be an issue. So, anyway. Fun times, fun times. Let me get this soldered up, and I'll shoot another short clip to wrap it up. Alrighty, we have our finished product here. So all I have left to do is I've got some silicone that I'm going to squirt up in there just to seal that. I don't want to use like an epoxy or anything like that to make a permanent cap, because if these wires break, which I suspect they will, I want to be able to get back in there to be able to, replace that, to fix the open. It wouldn't technically, or at least hopefully technically, it's not a short. It would be called an open, and want to be able to get back in there to fix it. Why? Because again, I'm a hillbilly redneck that's cheap and broke. So cheap and broke will cause you to do silly things. Anyway, no, I don't think this is silly. This is something I've actually been long awaiting to do. I've often wondered how hard it would be to turn this into a mod that was ran by an independent battery. So, and that's how we do it. And I just did it, and I called it I think I called it a 5-volt barrel connector, 12-volt barrel connector. They're 12-volt barrel connectors, but, I don't know why I said 5-volt. Probably because that's roughly what I'm working with. So anyway, barrel connector, of course, that can be used to plug in a battery. That could be used to plug in a charging type of device. Right now it's just got a pair of wires. So if I stick the red on the positive, and I stick the black on the negative, and I don't know if I'm sure you missed it, but the light lit up a little bit. Hang on. So, vaping as much as a pod system vapes, which isn't much, but works great for nighttime in bed, especially considering that it don't leak. So, at least much anyway. But there you go, modding a Boulder rock pod system to use a separate battery, or a separate power supply, I should say. And again, in current times, it's not a big deal. Just buy a new one. But after SHTF happens, that's not going to be an option. My question is, what are folks going to do? I know I keep getting, I'm just going to say it, I keep getting shit on, right? Because I'm really trying to impress having these types of skills on people. And I get shit on by the people that are too lazy to try to gain any skills. And it's much easier and more, productive, profitable for them to teach you just how to add items to the cart. As if there's never going to be a day to where that add to cart button's not there. Folks, if you're refusing to learn, you're cheating yourself and you're cheating everyone around you. And it doesn't matter how good of a bullshitter you are on YouTube. Bear Independent, Pinball Preparedness, the Prepared Homestead, Full Spectrum Survival. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It doesn't matter how big your YouTube channel is. It doesn't matter how good you are at bullshitting people, Prepper Nurse 1. What matters is what you know how to do yourself, with your own mind, with your own hands, and without any outside resources to make it happen. Anything aside from that, if you're calling yourself a prepper, and the only thing you know how to do is add to cart, you really need to quit bullshitting yourself. And you really need to step down from taking leadership of those around you, because all you're going to do is lead to their failure. I don't know of a nice way to say it. People need to stop being fake. people need to stop just the utter absolute bullshit. But I don't see that happening because that's what's on the menu today. Apparently, that's what people are naturally attracted to. So if I'm reaching you, if my message is reaching you, spend each and every day as if it's your last in the effort to learn, to build those skills, to understand how things work. I can only do this because I understand how it works. Okay? Improvise, adapt, and overcome. It's more than just a cute saying, Pinball. Shalom.